What's going on, guys? D4 Sports Entertainment for the Walk-ons of Life, Season 2, Episode 2. This is James Albee, your host, and I am here with Mike McNulty to my left.
Hey.
And I'm here with John Otto to my right. So, today on the docket, we got a big thing going on. College football news. Big Ten has a vote this morning, 12-2, in favor of suspending the college football season outright for their conference. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
So, the two that voted yes were what, Nebraska and Iowa?
Yeah.
Some farm country boys there.
Farm country boys.
Now, here's
Two
my
schools
question.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why, though, they voted yes? You think the location has any bearing on their decision?
I feel like they would be more inclined to play football because they have like the least amount of cases. Because
That's true.
they could isolate themselves if they wanted
Still
to.
a big school.
Right?
big
No,
schools.
yeah. Huge schools, but they have the resources where if they wanted to, they could isolate. The football team could isolate themselves and do all online classes. So the kids are still student athletes.
I want to know who's coming next. Who's behind the Big Ten?
Well, it's crazy because you look at the Big Ten. If you ask me personally, the Big Ten is honestly my favorite conference to watch college football on Saturday. Ohio State, Michigan State, Minnesota now becoming a powerhouse conference.
Yeah.
It is good college football.
Didn't Notre Dame drop into the Big Ten or the Pac-12?
It was the
ACC.
ACC.
Oh,
actually.
ACC.
Yeah.
That's right. That's good for them, though. That's like they have a couple people on
The
their
Atlantic
schedule.
Coast Conference and Notre Dame in the middle of Idaho.
But they play a lot of ACC
Iowa.
schools anyways.
Yeah, true.
And with basketball, they're an ACC
Yeah,
school.
everything else they're ACC.
But that's crazy because you had certain conferences talk about, hey, we're good. We want to play. You got the SEC in the South saying that they want to play. The ACC already said that they want to play. And then literally right after, you had Notre Dame sign on with them for the football season.
Yeah.
There's conferences that want to play. The Pac-12 is kind of up in the air still. But do you think the Pac-12 is next? What do you think?
I think there's a possibility. I think now that the Big Ten said, all right, we're done, I think a lot of conferences are going to start to think. I think the hardest one is going to be SEC because I think the SEC makes too much money.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a tough call for them. But I think there's a lot of conferences before the AC or the Big Ten that dropped. They said we're not playing. And they were like the smaller schools, though. You know, this is the first conference of big schools.
Yeah,
that
it's the
you've
first
seen.
Power 5
Yeah,
conference we've seen
100%.
take the bow out. What do you think, John?
I think the SEC is playing football no matter what.
Yeah.
Because you look at this whole COVID thing, those SEC states, like just the state governors, were the first ones to go back to regular.
Yep.
Like look at Florida, Georgia, Texas, all those states. They were the first ones to go back. So I don't think they really care about COVID and think it's one of those government
Also
hoaxes.
conservative states.
Right.
Very conservative states. You see a lot of these states also were the last to close.
But here's the other thing, though, with the SEC is you have some of the top players in college football in those.
Yep.
And I feel like you're going to see a lot of kids that are going to be like, all right, this is a wash anyways. Like, why am I going to play? I'm going to take my year, and I'm getting in the draft. I'm going.
Yep.
Or I'm sitting a year out, and I'm not going to play because, you know what, this year's a shit year anyways, so why stay?
Yep.
Or why play?
Mm-hmm.
Risk getting hurt for something that – because this is going to mess up. There's going to be asterisks all over the place with this season. You know
We
what
talked about it last week, and what actually happened was it was almost foreshadowing the situation. You had Rashad Bateman, who's the top receiver at Minnesota, one of the top receivers coming out in the draft this year. He opted out of the season last week.
Oh, okay.
He's from a Big Ten school. You also had Micah Parsons, who's the number 1 rated linebacker in the draft class, bow out. He goes to Penn State. So did these guys know before we even got a word on the vote that this was going to happen?
Oh, 100%. The locker rooms had to know what was going on or have an inclination of what was about to happen. You know what I mean? There was talk and chatter. There had to be.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely talk and chatter, but these kids don't know. There's a speculation. The coach probably said, "Hey guys, the presidents are meeting, next week about our decision." These kids are like, "Oh, well, if there's even any thought, I'm out." Kind of like Leonard Fournette. Like he got injured after his first or second game at LSU his senior year and just medically bowed out for the rest of the season.
Well, that's the crazy thing because this has been a thing that we have talked about. When you have legitimate NFL draft prospects come into a year where they have to play one more season before they can be declared draft eligible, like I think of Jadeveon Clowney a couple of years ago. If you guys remember, all the talk was, dude, don't even play. Like, what's the point? You're going to be a top 5 pick regardless of if you play a snap this year. And to me, it's like you're taking that talk when you're talking about injury, and now you're elevating it to a whole new level where it's like you might get COVID if you play. You know what I mean?
Now, would you, as the NCAA or the NFL, drop that requirement, you think? Say, all right, this year counts. If you're good enough to go, go.
It's tough. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I would. If it was up to me, I would like waive the exception this year. Like these juniors that didn't get to play, or like these, you know, if they play any football, then I say this year counts. Like any junior that was going into the draft, Trevor Lawrence, he can go if he plays a snap or not.
But do you think it's enough time for those prospects to get looked at?
That's the
Some of
tough
them
thing.
yes, some of them no. Like Trevor Lawrence, he's been playing every snap since he was a true freshman.
Yep.
Sure, yeah, he's got the film, he's got the tape. He's gonna be a number 1 pick, no matter if he stays this year or if he waits until next year and stays. So just so he can get his degree at Clemson or
What do you think, Alba?
That's the thing. It's like the NCAA requires you for football to play to be involved in a college for 3 full years, whether you redshirt your first year or second year, whatever it is, 3 full years. So you're in a situation now where you got guys that might not necessarily have that tape, have that exposure, but isn't that what scouting is for? Isn't that what the NFL Combine is for? Every year we see a guy that was the backup running back for LSU or the backup running back for Alabama. Look at Josh Jacobs last year. He was the number 1 offensive rookie. He didn't win Rookie of the Year. He got snubbed. I won't even get to that. But dude was the backup running back at Alabama and ends up rushing for 1,000 yards in his first year in Oakland. Like, that stuff happens. That's on your scouting department. You don't always necessarily get the good tape.
Look at Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his name is, backup quarterback, and then comes in the national championship.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, backup quarterback his entire career. Then he goes on to win the Heisman.
But that's the crazy thing. We also kind of chatted about this last week. What if Joe Burrow what if this all happened 1 year ago and Joe Burrow doesn't have his 60 touchdown season at LSU because they canceled the season? He's not even
out.
drafted.
Yeah, he's out several $1 million.
Yeah, he's not
That's
even
true.
drafted.
That's true.
So it's a tough conversation to have. Now, when we go to the NFL, we're seeing a bunch of guys decide to opt out, and the teams are kind of setting a deadline like, hey, we need to know where you stand on this before we really get into the heat of training camp, because teams are practicing together now in their facility. The number 1 team that I'm looking at, and I'm saying a lot of guys are opting out, are the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
If you look at their roster, Brandon Bolden, who's a key special teamer, opted out. Their starting right tackle, Marcus Cannon, opted out. Starting strong safety, Patrick Chung, opted out. Linebacker, Donta Hightower, opted out. Marquise Lee, who was supposed to be one of their better receivers this year, opted out. Their starting fullback opted out. You're getting a lot of guys saying that they don't want to play.
Damn, I didn't realize that,
Yeah.
nor did I know that. That's crazy.
That's why you're here on D4 Sports, baby.
That's right. Breaking news.
What do you think about that? What's your take on that?
Well,
though?
first things first, I think Bill Belichick is kind of trying to situate himself to get the number 1 pick, and he's kind of telling these guys, don't even worry about playing.
You think it's one of those big Belichick, big Bill, whatever schemes?
Yeah, listen.
That's not a scheme, though. That's good. That's smart.
It's a scheme.
Because why, though? Think about it. There's going to be asterisks all over the NFL, too. So what's the difference?
So what, you think he's just going to have a team full of
Think
D3
about it.
lacrosse
All right,
players
but
play?
but think about this, though, man.
And win 9 games.
Yeah, exactly.
How
Win every
about-
game he plays.
But if you think about it, right? So the NFL, there's going to be players that are opting out just like this.
Yep.
So you're going to be playing teams that are half-assed. Let's say a team gets COVID, knocks out half of their team. That's going to be an asterisk. You're going to screw up the schedule. At the end of the day, like if there's a Super Bowl and there's a Super Bowl champion, you're going to be like, oh, that was during the coronavirus. Like,
Yep.
you know, it's like the steroid scandal when they had the asterisks. Oh, yeah, they hit bombs, but they're all juicing up. And in my eyes, you're kind of looking at the same thing. Because I think that's smart. Don't put your guys at risk.
So I think under the table,
Win?
I think a player comes to Bill and is like, hey, Bill, I'm kind of worried about this COVID thing. I don't think he explicitly tells the player not to play, but I think he basically, in his Belichick ways, puts the hoodie up and is like, well, you got to do what's best for you, man.
I can see that.
We understand that your health comes first, and if you don't want to play, there's no hard
But think about the
feelings.
exposure all these backups are about to get now, too. They're about to get some exposure, and who knows, some of them might go to a different team next year.
That could happen.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
could be a win-win for everybody
backup
over
running
there.
back goes off, has a 2,000-yard rushing season.
Now you got a year to get all these guys healthy. They're all ready to go. You're going to have a top-notch team, and if you lose, you get the top or the first pick.
Yep.
all day.
And so we talk about this first pick in the draft. It kind of leads us to where we're going to kind of wrap it up at the end here is Trevor Lawrence, number one pick. It's not even a discussion at this point. He's the number one player. He might be the best quarterback prospect we've ever seen leave college. I think he's better than Andrew Luck just based off my own two eyes. But listen, this guy says, I'm playing college football this year. The guy that you could literally pinpoint as the one that has nothing to gain from playing a college football season is saying he's playing. What do you guys think about that?
Good for him. He's obviously the face of college football this year, and for him to say, I want to play, I want to go out with my boys, I want to finish at Clemson, whether it be this year or I got a spin zone for you later, but good for him. Yeah. Good for him.
I can see it. I mean, the thing that I worry about is injury because it's like an unneeded injury at that point. But I do agree with it's like us if we were playing high school football. Like, you want to play. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's your boys. It's college. Like, you have the crowd. But the thing is, you're gonna have the crowd. No.
Right. As a football player, that's why you play. It's because you're groomed from when you start at Pee Wee football. It's you play until you can't walk anymore, right?
Yep.
And so
but not when you have contracts on the line to make millions of dollars. It's definitely a choice he's got to make. But I respect either choice that is.
That's because he legally can't have any managers or anything in his ear or agents or anything in his ear telling him not
all right.
to
So you're telling me your parents wouldn't be like, yo.
No, I get it, yeah. But
let's just
think
about it. Your decision.
A 20-year-old kid, you listen to everything your parents said at 20 years old?
No, but if my dad was like, yo, you got a shot, you're going to be the number one pick in the draft, and none of us had that opportunity by any means, but I'd be like, all right, old man, maybe I'll listen to you. Food
but
for
he's
thought.
going to be the number one pick regardless.
If he does, what if he blows out an ACL or
so
shoulder?
So he goes to number 2?
No, he's out for a fucking year.
That's my thing. It's you're not talking about COVID with this guy. What you're talking about is what if you go out and play? You get COVID or not, I think if you get COVID, no team's going to be like, no, we're not going to draft you number one.
Yeah.
But if you tear your ACL, all of a sudden you're talking about a different story.
And you're going to be playing with all these teams that are playing with backups. And you know what? That's all right, these aren't the best of the best that are going to be playing.
But they're the guys that are going to put balls to the wall on every single snap.
And they're going to make sure they get film that they can get watched.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. So here's my spin zone for you guys.
Let me hear it.
So if the ACC and college football shut down 110% this year, you think Trevor Lawrence comes back? Because you guys know he's a diehard Clemson guy till he dies.
Yep.
Born and raised Clemson guy.
I would love to see that.
You think he comes back for his senior year at Clemson?
No.
I would.
Why not?
Because at this point, he's coming back to Clemson because he has to.
Yeah.
All right, he has to come back, but I don't think there was ever any chance that he was going to come back and play his senior year. The guy just got engaged, too, by the way. He's trying to start a family, and he could use a couple mil in the bank to do that.
I would love to see him come back and play because I think that would be awesome to be like, oh, he loves his freaking school.
Loves his boys.
That's awesome.
And wants a degree from Clemson.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If he wants his degree and he likes that, then that's on him.
And he doesn't want to do it after he's brain dead from the NFL and CTE.
Maybe.
Well,
I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch.
I think if he doesn't play it down, I think he comes back. You saw it here first, everyone. D4 Sports. John says Trevor Lawrence comes back for his senior year if he does not play it down.
And I say he goes off and goes to be the number one pick of the New England Patriots. God bless us all.
All right. Hell yeah.
All right. So, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I want to appreciate and thank you guys so much for coming down, listening to the pod, watching the pod, wherever you are, YouTube, Apple Music, Spot, whatever you're watching this on. Appreciate the support. Next week, big hockey discussion. I got my man Joe Hall, my hockey correspondent, coming down, being a guest, and we'll be talking NHL playoffs. Once again, this is James Alba. That's Mike McNulty, and that's John Otto. This is D4 Sports signing off. Sports entertainment for the walk-ons of life. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.